2 weeks after the battle, Captain Zeftar stood in what had once been the Vorth Empire's capital command center. The massive chamber buzzed with activity as human personnel coordinated the liberation of dozens of worlds. The speed of the transformation was breathtaking. Admiral Chen approached him carrying a datapad filled with reports. Her expression showed satisfaction mixed with exhaustion. "The latest numbers, Captain. 43 worlds fully secured. 18 billion former slaves relocated to temporary shelters, and complete dismantling of the Vorth military infrastructure." Zeftar studied the figures with amazement. "Admiral, how is this possible? My people would need years to coordinate such an operation across a single system." "Different approaches, Captain. When survival depends on rapid deployment and adaptation, you develop efficient methods." Through the command center's vast windows, Zeftar could see human transport ships ferrying liberated populations to safety. The logistics involved staggered his imagination. Food, medical care, temporary housing, and basic necessities for billions of beings across dozens of species. "Ma'am," called a human officer, "incoming priority transmission from the Galactic Council." Admiral Chen sighed. "I was wondering when they'd contact us. Put it through." The main display activated, showing 3 figures Zeftar recognized from galactic news feeds. The Council represented the galaxy's major civilizations, species that had maintained peace through careful diplomacy and mutual non-aggression pacts. The center figure, Chancellor Morvain of the Altarian Federation, spoke first. Her crystalline features showed obvious nervousness. "Admiral Chen, I am Chancellor Morvain, speaking for the Galactic Council. We must discuss your recent actions in the former Vorth territories." Admiral Chen's expression remained neutral. "Chancellor, how can we assist you?" "Admiral, your fleet's intervention has created complications. The balance of power in this region has been fundamentally altered." "I assume you're referring to the liberation of enslaved populations." "We're referring to the complete destruction of a sovereign government without council authorization. The Vorth Empire, despite its methods, was a recognized political entity." Zeftar saw Admiral Chen's jaw tighten almost imperceptibly. When she spoke, her voice carried a dangerous edge. "Chancellor, let me make certain I understand your position. You're concerned that we interfered with a slave-owning empire that was systematically conquering and oppressing peaceful species?" "Admiral, the galaxy maintains stability through established diplomatic channels. Unilateral military action, however well-intentioned, threatens that stability." "I see." Admiral Chen's tone went ice-cold. "Captain Zeftar, would you please explain to the Chancellor what the Vorth were doing when we arrived?" Zeftar stepped forward, his feathers ruffling with remembered fear. "They were preparing to capture my research vessel and enslave my crew. The Vorth had also threatened to discover the locations of 3 populated worlds containing 3 billion peaceful inhabitants." Chancellor Morvain's image flickered slightly. "The situation you describe is regrettable, but proper channels exist for addressing such concerns." "What channels?" Admiral Chen's voice rose. "Captain Zeftar, has the Galactic Council ever intervened to stop Vorth expansion?" "No, Admiral. The Council has avoided this region for over 2 centuries. Admiral Chen turned back to the display. "Chancellor, let me explain humanity's position on slavery and unprovoked aggression. We consider both to be acts of war against civilization itself. When we encounter either, we respond accordingly." "Admiral, surely reasonable beings can find diplomatic solutions to such problems." "Chancellor, I'm going to share something with you." Admiral Chen activated a different display, showing a 3-dimensional representation of a blue-green world. "This is Earth, humanity's homeworld. Would you like to know why we're so effective at warfare?" The planet rotated slowly, showing continents and oceans under swirling white clouds. It looked peaceful and beautiful. Earth is what we call a death world, Chancellor. Everything on our planet evolved to survive in conditions that would kill most galactic species within hours. The display zoomed in, showing various Earth creatures. Zeftar gasped as he recognized the images from human databases. Massive predators with inch-long teeth, venomous creatures smaller than his hand, weather patterns that could level cities. The gravity is 1.5 times standard. The atmosphere contains corrosive oxygen at concentrations that are toxic to most species. The weather includes electrical storms, rotating wind systems capable of destroying cities, and seasonal temperature variations that span over 100 degrees. Chancellor Morvaine's crystalline features showed growing alarm. But that's not the worst part, Chancellor. The worst part is the other humans. Admiral Chen's expression hardened as she continued. For our entire recorded history, we've been at war. Not just with our environment, but with each other. We developed nuclear weapons capable of destroying our entire planet, then spent 50 years pointing them at ourselves. We've survived ice ages, plague outbreaks, asteroid impacts, and volcanic eruptions that blocked out our sun for years. The display showed images of human conflicts throughout history, battles involving millions of soldiers, cities reduced to rubble, weapons that could vaporize targets from orbit. Every human military officer has studied thousands of historical conflicts. We've analyzed every possible tactical scenario, from single combat to fleet actions involving millions of ships. We've been preparing for war since we first picked up rocks and started throwing them at each other. Zeftar realized the Chancellor was beginning to understand what humanity represented. Now, Admiral Chen continued, you're asking us to ignore slavery and unprovoked aggression because it might upset diplomatic stability. Chancellor, with all due respect, that's not going to happen. Admiral, surely the Council can work with humanity to find mutually acceptable solutions. The solution is simple, Chancellor. Stop tolerating slavery and unprovoked aggression. When you encounter either, call us. We'll be happy to help. Chancellor Morvaine's image showed obvious panic. Admiral, the implications of what you're suggesting would fundamentally alter galactic civilization. Yes, Admiral Chen agreed cheerfully. It would make it better. Another council member, a tall figure with blue skin, leaned forward. Admiral Chen, humanity must understand that the galaxy operates on principles of non-interference and diplomatic solutions. Counselor, I appreciate your position, but humanity operates on different principles. We believe that slavery is wrong regardless of local customs. We believe that unprovoked aggression deserves swift and overwhelming response. We believe that the strong have a responsibility to protect the weak. Such principles lead inevitably to conflict, the blue-skinned counselor argued. Such principles lead inevitably to justice, Admiral Chen countered. Counselor, may I ask how many species the Galactic Council has successfully defended from Vorth aggression? The question hung in the air without answer. The Vorth Empire enslaved over 20 species across 67 worlds. For 300 years, the galaxy's established powers watched it happen and did nothing. In 2 weeks, humanity ended that suffering. Zeftar watched Chancellor Morvaine exchange glances with her fellow counselors. He could see them beginning to grasp the fundamental shift that had occurred. Admiral, Chancellor Morvaine said carefully, what are humanity's intentions regarding the former Vorth territories? Simple, Chancellor. We're going to help the liberated populations establish their own governments. We're going to provide security until they can defend themselves, and we're going to make it very clear that anyone who tries to re-enslave them will deal with us. And after that, Admiral Chen smiled, and Zeftar felt his feathers stand on end. He was beginning to recognize that expression. After that, Chancellor, we're going to look for other places where our help might be needed. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just ended one empire. They had announced their intention to reshape galactic civilization according to their own moral standards. "Admiral," Chancellor Morvain said desperately, "surely humanity doesn't intend to impose its will on the entire galaxy?" "Not impose, Chancellor. Enforce. There's a difference." Admiral Chen gestured to the bustling command center around them. "Look around you. Do you see human soldiers standing guard over liberated populations? Do you see us demanding tribute or establishing colonial governments?" Zeftar realized she was right. Human personnel were working alongside liberated species, providing aid and expertise while respecting local customs and preferences. "What you see, Chancellor, is humanity doing what we've always done. We identify threats to innocent people, we eliminate those threats, and we help pick up the pieces." "But at what cost?" the blue-skinned counselor asked. "Military solutions inevitably lead to greater conflicts." Admiral Chen's expression grew thoughtful. "Counselor, let me tell you about the last major war on Earth. We call it World War II. It involved most of our planet and cost over 60 million lives." The numbers clearly shocked the council members. "But when it ended, Counselor, something remarkable happened. The aggressors were defeated, their victims were liberated, and we built international systems designed to prevent such conflicts from recurring. It worked. We've never had another global war." She paused, letting them absorb the information. "Sometimes, Counselor, the only path to lasting peace runs through total victory over those who threaten it." Zeftar saw the moment when the council members fully grasped what they faced. Humanity wasn't just militarily superior, they were morally committed to using that superiority to reshape the galaxy according to principles of justice and protection for the weak. "Chancellor," Admiral Chen said gently, "the galaxy has a choice. It can work with humanity to establish a new order based on justice and protection of innocent life. Or it can continue tolerating slavery and aggression while we handle such problems unilaterally. Admiral, you're essentially demanding that the galaxy adopt human moral standards." "No, Chancellor. We're demanding that the galaxy adopt universal moral standards. No slavery, no unprovoked aggression, no oppression of the weak by the strong. These aren't human concepts. They're basic principles of civilized behavior." The transmission ended with the council members promising to consider humanity's position. Zeftar suspected they would be considering it very carefully. "Admiral," he said quietly, "you've just told the galaxy's major powers that humanity intends to remake galactic civilization." "Yes, Captain, we have." Admiral Chen looked entirely unrepentant. "The question is whether they help us do it voluntarily or whether we have to do it ourselves." As Zeftar looked around the command center, watching humans coordinate the liberation of dozens of worlds, he realized the galaxy had reached a turning point. The old order of careful diplomacy and non-interference was ending. In its place would rise something unprecedented, a galactic civilization where the strong protected the weak, where slavery was extinct, and where unprovoked aggression met swift and overwhelming response. The galaxy had sent an SOS, not realizing what it was calling. It had awakened a species that considered justice worth fighting for and possessed the military capability to enforce their beliefs across an entire spiral arm. Zeftar suspected future historians would mark this day as the beginning of the human era. And despite everything he had witnessed, despite the awesome display of human military power, he found himself looking forward to seeing what they would build. After all, any species that could end slavery across 67 worlds in 2 weeks might just be capable of creating something wonderful from the ashes of the old galaxy. The Death Worlders had come, and the galaxy would never be the same.